So the impact of the World War II. What were the major impact of the World War II? The first impact was nothing else. It was the rise of superpowers and the Cold War. Rise of superpowers. So who are these superpowers? One was USA, and USA was following an ideology of capitalism, and another one was USSR, which was actually following an ideology of communism. And both these ideologies conflict. Okay, they are actually looking at the society from different directions altogether. So that is the reason. That is the reason for this conflict also. The war marked the decline of traditional European powers. So till then, we can actually see that till then the whole world was actually under the control of the European powers only. We were only talking about European powers. Everybody was dependent on the decisions taken by the European powers. But now, after the Second World War, the entire situation changed. The geopolitics changed. That is the reason why two important powers emerged, USA and USSR, as global superpowers. The ideological rivalry between capitalism and communism led to the Cold War. Capitalism followed by USA and communism followed by USSR. Just one example, I can actually tell you what is this capitalism and what is this communism. Private property. Just take the case of private property. Capitalism actually supports private property and profit making. Okay, profit making. It actually involves a lot of things. Okay, if you want to make profit, you need to make sure that the workers really work hard. Okay, you need to utilize the resources effectively. Then only you can actually fetch money. Okay, you can actually gain profit out of it. So there is a lot of exploitation happening during this phase. The production phase itself, a lot of exploitation is happening, especially on the laborers. That was actually the viewpoint of the communism or the Marxism. So Marxism, they were not in support of the private property. They are not in support of profit. They are actually saying everything should be coming under the control of the state. The state should actually take care of everything. The land should come under the control of the state only. People should not be holding land. So these ideologies actually conflicted. And that is the reason why we were facing something called as Cold War. Then apart from this Cold War and superpower rivalry, the second major impact was the formation of United Nations. Very important. So as a predecessor of the United Nations, the League of Nations was a failure. We know that. Because it was a failure only, we were actually experiencing the Second World War. We have witnessed the Second World War. Now, after Second World War, we are not in a position to witness another war. Now also we are not in a position to witness another World War. Okay, so that is the reason why a strong organization was actually formed, namely United Nations Organization. It was established in the year 1945 to promote international peace, security and cooperation, replacing the ineffective League of Nations. Very important. Okay. Two important after effects: rise of superpowers, Cold War, and formation of United Nations. Another important one is decolonization. Okay, the war weakened the colonial powers like Britain and France, accelerating the process of decolonization. So when they are weakened, when they are not in a position to protect their territories, the colonies, now what will happen? The colonies will get liberation, or they will get independence. So exactly that is what happened. The countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, they gained independence during the post-war period, after the Second World War period. Then emergence of something called as Third World. Okay, what is this, the concept of Third World? The newly independent nations in Asia, Africa, and Latin America formed the Third World. Newly independent nations. So you should understand that all these nations were actually under the clutches of the colonial powers till then. And then they are actually liberating, and they are waiting there. Okay, they don't know what to do. They are actually not having a clue regarding how the administration should be. So all these nations come together and form something called as Third World. It is not an organization, but it's actually a term which is actually given for these liberated countries, and distinguishing themselves from the USA-led First World War and USSR-led Second World War. Okay, not World War, First World. Okay, so distinguishing themselves from the USA-led First World and the USSR-led Second World, which means already we discussed about the superpowers, right? Superpower rivalry. One superpower was USA, another superpower was USSR. So now they are not alone. USA is not standing alone, or USSR is not standing alone. There are other countries to support them. So that's how they become first world. USA become the first world, or USSR becoming the second world. And another important one is like they are not joining with any of these blocks, power blocks, become the third world. And these nations face challenges of economic development and poverty. Okay, if you're actually supporting USA, if you're actually following USA, you will get a lot of support from USA. Economic support you will get, military support you will get. So whatever support you require, you will actually get from USA. If you're supporting USSR, because that is a superpower and they are actually making a lot of money and they are having a lot of strength in the case of arms also, so they are ready to support you. But if you're not joining in any of these territories, what will happen? You will face economic development and poverty, because already your territory, your resources, everything was exploited by these colonial powers and they left. Right now you are clueless and you don't know what to do. Okay, that is this phase that the newly independent nations were going through. Then development of underdeveloped economies, very important. The war highlighted the economic disparity between industrialized nations and the underdeveloped economies of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Efforts were made to address poverty and promote economic growth in these regions. Okay, when the war happened, then it gave a very clear picture about the economic disparity existed in the world. So then we can actually see that the countries which were industrialized, they were come to be known as the developed countries. And the countries which trying to and inculcate or trying to come up with the industrialization features, they were like the developing countries. And there are something called as underdeveloped countries. The places where there is no development coming, the places where no industrialization is there. So this disparity we clearly saw after the Second World War. So the formation of some two groups, developed and underdeveloped countries. Okay, so now the other countries are also trying to help them. Once we understood that there are countries which are underdeveloped, which need support, so then we are actually ready to do that support. That is what happening. That is the development of underdeveloped economies. Now, the emergence of the non-aligned movement, NAM. So this is also another important, initiative, which is not favoring the Cold War. Favoring in the sense, they are not supporting either the US bloc or the USSR bloc. They are not supporting either the capitalist or the socialist. But that doesn't mean that they are actually neutral. They take their own stance. At times, they will be having their own, connection with any of these countries for their own benefit. They will actually follow that. But they are not supporting them for attacking or aggressing another territory or spreading the ideology in other parts of the world. They are not doing that. So in all those areas, they are actually keeping a distance from these countries, these blocs. So such kind of countries were known as non-aligned countries, who chose to remain neutral during the Cold War, advocating for peace and cooperation without aligning with either superpower. Okay, one of the leaders who actually started this non-alignment movement was our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, Nasser of Egypt, then Jawaharlal Nehru of India, then Tito of Yugoslavia, then Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. All these people were the one who actually started this particular organization, NAM. Then another important impact was the end of European hegemony. You already mentioned about it. So when the destruction happened in European soil because of the World War, their dominance ended. Okay, the war ended the European dominance in world affairs, shifting power to USA and USSR. Former colonial powers struggled to maintain global influence. Now they are not in a position to influence other countries. Now they are actually in a survival mode. They need to reconstruct their economy. They need to reconstruct their resources. They need to come back. Okay, they need to survive. So they are in that mode only. Okay, so that's how they actually lost that European hegemony. Then the integration of Europe and the formation of European community, very important. I already told you about it. Because till then they were all separate countries and they were fighting each other for gaining more expansion, gaining more territories, gaining more resources and all. But now they are actually coming up with a initiative, that is efforts to prevent future wars in Europe led to the formation of organizations like the European Economic Community, EEC, in 1957, which eventually evolved into the European Union. So that indicates the cooperation between the European countries. Now, if you're actually going to one place in Europe, you don't need a visa to go to another important place. Actually, you can actually travel in the European Union itself. But you need to get the permission, but you can actually travel in European Union, which means that cooperation is going on, or it is actually really working for the benefit of the European countries. Okay, so European Union was a completely new term, or a completely new initiative actually came up after the Second World War, because they do not want another world war. In order to prevent another world war only, we have come up with something called as European Union as a cooperation. Then the emergence of something called as welfare state. Okay, the post-war governments adopted the concept of welfare state, emphasizing social security, healthcare, education to improve living standards and prevent social unrest. Very important. So, okay, now they are taking care of the life of people. Okay, the population of a particular country need to be taken care of. Their social security need to be taken care of. Their healthcare need to be taken care of. Their education need to be taken care of. Their living standard, their standard of living, their quality of life, everything should be taken care of. And the governments try to focus on that. That is the welfare state. Okay. Then the Second World War reshaped the global politics, economics, and the society, setting the stage for the modern world order. Okay. So the entire system changed. The entire idea, the concept of rivalry, everything changed, and now we are in a modern world order. Okay, the politics changed, the economics changed, society changed, all these things changed, and the Second World War reshaped the entire world and coming up with a modern world order. So these were some of the major impacts of the World War